This video is sponsored by Audible. If you don't know Audible, well darn, looks like I need to tell you about Audible, the fantastic place to get a ton of great audiobooks to listen to anywhere, anytime. Audible has a huge selection of audiobooks, everything from the old classics way back in the day to the new books coming out now, and it is usable on both your computer, app, and basically here, there, anywhere on the go. As for audiobook recommendations, you all know me, you know I love my Warhammer books, but sometimes Warhammer can get a little dark and depressing. So instead, let's find some that's a little bit more lighthearted. The Infinite and the Divine is a hilarious spy versus spy over 10,000 years story about two Necrons at each other's throats, and one I have not read yet but want to get into very soon is Caiaphas Cain, Hero of the Imperium, the commissar that stumbles his way to victory across all of the wonderful Warhammer 40k universe. Wonderful, I say, in quotes. If you want to check out these or any other audiobooks, go ahead and look in the description and go to audible.com/Bricky or text Bricky to 500-500. Thank you very much to Audible for sponsoring this video, and let's get on with the topic. Hello everybody, my name is Bricky, currently serving 10 to life for forcing you to draw Wonder Bread. Graphics are defined as a product of the graphic arts, usually in design or illustration. It is also known as visual images from computer processing. But to us, gamers, we deem graphics as do that shit look good. I suppose you could say its origin makes sense. If I go back to that Battlefield 3 trailer way back when, I would say, dang, those are some good graphics, as in literally the things I am seeing look good, the graphics on screen. But really, graphics now are a term more so used to describe how good looking a game is. Does it have a good visual fidelity? Art direction is defined as the works from an art director overseeing a film, publication, or any other media. Another way to describe it would be the process that creates the feeling of a tone or a setting in some kind of media. If the tone you're going for is a dark, dire, depressing tone, how do you convey that through a visual mean that doesn't clash with the tone itself? Because I think it would be quite jarring if you told Cormac McCarthy's The Road story while making it look like Grand Budapest Hotel. The strength of your graphics, say for a film or TV show, the resolution, the quality of your camera is not what's used in order to create the tone you are going for. It certainly helps, but having a good resolution, having it look good from an actual pixel point of view doesn't convey tone. The opening of Saving Private Ryan isn't good because it's in 8K 700 frames a second. It conveys a harrowing tone by sucking all the color out, by making it seem really claustrophobic, and with the use of props and extras on the battlefield to make it look like a battlefield. Or even smaller touches like never showing the face of the enemy in the beginning sequences and only seeing either the point of view of their gun or the point of view of the soldiers with just those slight muzzle flashes coming from the bunker. Putting all these things together creates not only very hard to watch opening to a film, but it creates that tone you're looking for, in which graphics mean almost nothing. This is something I've had to end up explain on more occasions than I would particularly like to, and it's the reason why I wanted to talk about it today. As far as I'm concerned, graphics mean next to nothing while art direction is consistently superior. Graphics are temporary, art direction is forever. Let's start with an example, the one I used earlier, Battlefield 3. Battlefield has always triumphed its graphics, particularly when Battlefield 3 came out. I remember the war that was happening at the time, Modern Warfare 3 versus Battlefield 3. It was like a console war at the time, or about as juvenile as one, but hey, I was a teenager. But in that little campaign trailer, when you're getting pinned down by a sniper and you had to fire a rocket at it and the building kind of crumbled around the spot where you fired it at, and I was sitting there thinking, this is gonna be the best goddamn game ever. And about 2,000 games of Operation Metro later, yeah, it was pretty great. I love Battlefield 3, but despite my like for the game, I can't remember a single campaign mission. Better yet, I can't remember a single mission of the campaign, a level, a play space. I know it was in the Middle East, I think. You play as Americans. I don't remember anything about the campaign, not just because the story was boring, but also I don't remember where I was. I don't remember a vista or a combat room or a special encounter. I don't remember anything. Hell, I don't remember anything for the Battlefield 4 campaign or the Hardline. Remember, I don't even remember Hardline. The only mission I really remember in Battlefield 1 was the opening one, where every time you died, you went to a new person. That was actually pretty cool. But besides that, I don't remember any of this because none of it's memorable, because graphics triumphed, because it was trying to make it look photorealistic and not try to give it some kind of identity, some kind of feeling when you walk into a room and you think, wow, as you see this kind of environment sprawled out in front of you. It was about making it look realistic, and that made it less than memorable. The story didn't help, but it made it forgettable. Take an almost identical setting though, and move it over a game. Spec Ops the Line. An incredible game Spec Ops is, but when it comes to the setting, it's not identical. American soldiers in a foreign country, generally Middle Eastern, similar colors, lots of buildings and sand. But the parts of Spec Ops just stay in my head so much better. The imagery of that game has so much more character to it. The sand-swept Dubai, how it almost creates some kind of like bowl with the huge walls of sand, the glass towers and skyscrapers all over the area. Sometimes I would walk into a room and that imagery would stay with me, either because it was so incredibly harrowing or it was just put together really well. Even in a game about sand-swept Dubai, it still can work with its colors. It still has multiple times where it is bright and vibrant and it has good looking colors in an area that should only be gray and tan. Even your characters have sand and blood that constantly get caked onto them as their deteriorating mental state continues. Hell, the overwhelming amount of the upside down American flag in a foreign country I think has enough symbolism in itself. And its strength is that it pretended to be a Call of Duty Battlefield clone. It pretended to be another modern military shooter. And that's where its strength lies, because you think it's gonna be. And then it changes itself. The story alone is great, but even in a place that you've seen a million times, American soldiers in some place in the Middle East, it still has imagery that sticks with you. How about one of my favorite video games of all time, BioShock? BioShock, even when it came out, didn't have the greatest of graphics. The characters moved in that uncanny valley way, their faces looked very strange, and overall it wasn't the greatest at the time. But it didn't matter. Early 50s, Art Deco, steampunk, horror, underwater city. Throw in all this political intrigue, bit of religion in there, and oh my God, there's nothing like it. But even if you played the original 2007 version of the game, you would still call it beautiful, even if its graphics kind of suck, because it has that environment. System Shock 2, same thing. Prey 2017. Have you played Prey? Have you played Prey? Why haven't you played Prey? Take the same Art Deco style in BioShock, put it in a space station, change plasmids to alien powers, and give it the Dishonored looking UI and characters. Why have you not played Prey? Did I mention the Mick Gordon soundtrack? I didn't mention the Mick Gordon soundtrack, did I? The last act is a little iffy, but you should really play Prey. Warhammer. Every single faction in Warhammer pulls from some other media or some other culture, but by mixing that with its sci-fi fantasy elements. But then you take the sci-fi ideas and then you mix it with the fantasy elements like knights and wizards and such, psychers, etc. And then you make those giant knights pray to a spirit in their gun with incense. You turn every ship into a cathedral, and you've got something that really has a unique identity. The Adeptus Mechanicus combine body augmentation with transhumanism, with body horror, throw on some monk robes, and then have a massive amount of religious zealotry and steampunk. The goddamn Necrons are undead skeletons combined with a massive amount of high-tech and heavy Egyptian themes. This leads me to the physical part too, because this isn't just games. When it comes to things like arts and crafts, sometimes it's better to have an identity with your crafting than it is to make it look really realistic. Hyper-realism things like dioramas and such are incredible incredibly impressive. Very cool to look at. But sometimes just having an identity in your own work is more important. And I see this a lot, especially online with artists, people who do commissions. They always try to go really hard to make it perfect. I'd say your artistic identity matters more than the minutia of the art itself. Let's use Warhammer Miniatures, for example. I'm not a top-level painter. I think I'm decent. I don't think I'm bad, but I am not super high level. But I'm really proud of my Sisters of Battle army because the combination of the white armor, the magenta robes, and actually creating a base that looks like a field of flowers, I think really adds personality to them. Because you take a faction that might be one of the most evil and hardcore in the Imperium, and you give them like a paradox, a contradicting art style where they look very holy and they have a field of flowers and all that. It adds this neat contradiction to the army. And so I'm really proud of that army. I make mistakes with my painting all the time. The faces look terrible, but I really like the identity they have when you're playing them on the tabletop. I'm working on a Night Lord's army right now. Here's a picture of my Obliterator that I'm currently working on. You know, it's not perfect. Not all of my painting parts are great. Sometimes I use too many coats. Sometimes I use too few coats. Sometimes I accidentally bump certain parts of the armor that shouldn't be a certain color when I paint. Yeah, there's problems, but it has an identity that I really like. Night Lords are criminals and murderers before they even are adults. And so it has that vibe of, okay, unchained, out of the prison, the chains around the hand, the barbed wire, that really gives it this feeling that while it has the same color scheme as regular Night Lords, it feels unique. Going for a super well painted 10 out of 10 pro painter looking mini is fine, but I think I'd rather take a 7 out of 10 mini with a unique original style first. The reason I wanted to make this video is twofold. Firstly, it's a reminder to you creators out there that style sometimes is more important than substance. People keep going for perfect instead of going for unique. Often the media that I consume, games, movies, TV shows, I often rewatch the ones that are 7, 8s out of 10s more than I rewatch the 10 out of 10 ones. Because sometimes the things that are perfect don't speak to you and you don't enjoy as much as the things that are decent. And secondly, I wanted to make this so I can provide examples of the difference between graphics and art direction and which one you should aim to go for. It also helps me so that I can point to this video if anyone says to me, why do you think that game looks good? Its graphics are terrible, i.e. BioShock or something. Because graphics don't matter. Graphics are temporary and art direction is forever. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you want to buy merch, this is another one of my merch shirts. I like this one a lot. I think it's pretty good. Let me go ahead and answer some questions from y'all. Hey, Bricky, I know you said before if gamer subs let you make a flavor, what would it be called? I would probably call it something like anime thigh sweat or anime ab sweat. Not because I particularly want to, but more so because I think that would sell like hotcakes. Bricky, how do you think about the new Pentakill album? It's pretty good, though I think I've been a little bit spoiled by Guilty Gear. I thought to myself, damn, this isn't bad, but it's not Guilty Gear. More of an Adeptus Ridiculous question. Would short-sleeve mechanical men's shirts ever be a possibility? Maybe. The problem is you have to buy a whole bunch of dark red shirts, and at that point, it almost feels like dark red long sleeve, dark red short sleeve. Is there enough overlap? So, we'll see. Actual questions. It's pretty good. I'll see you next time. It might be a Legends of Runeterra video. I kind of want to do like a follow-up, so we'll see. Bye-bye.